Here's the process of using a synthetic clay bar and a 303 graphene to clean and protect the painted surface of your vehicles. As you're doing this, you want to think about which surfaces are actually painted. So you won't want to do this process for things like the expel coating. You can see that line right there. The front portion of this car has been expel coated, so you don't want to do that. That's all paint. You obviously have glass. This car, although it looks like paint, this is actually glass, so I'm not going to do it on that either. And I did deploy the rear spoiler so that I can get in between the two planes of it. There's not a ton of instructions that come with the synthetic clay bar, but it's definitely a lot less work than the old ones where you have to knead it and everything. All it really says is to keep the surface lubricated with, I guess they call this speed shine. I'm going to start in this area, and again, I'm not going to get this expel coating. I'm just going to spray the area. This car has a pretty clean finish already, so I'm not too concerned. And then just glide it on the surface. It's pretty straightforward. It actually almost doesn't feel like it's doing anything, which is strange to me, but that's what it says to do, is just glide it gently. So you're not rubbing it down aggressively, just lightly floating it across there. And this isn't sandpaper. You're not, again, trying to remove material. You just want to get the top surface nice and clean before you put the protectant on it. I'm going to do the whole car with the clay bar first before I start the protectant. That way I don't get, overspray or anything like that. One question you may have is, how do I know when I've done enough clay bar before I apply the graphene? It's kind of like when you're polishing something. You don't really know until you wipe it clean every time and you look and make sure that you don't have any swirl marks or anything like that. Like I said, this one's pretty clean, but if you have some bad swirl marks, you might actually be better to start with some kind of a light polish and then finish it with a clay bar. Cardinal sin, leaving the watch on. Make sure you get rid of any jewelry, rings. If you're wearing a Mr. T startup kit around your neck, get rid of that. You're trying to make the car look better, not add scratches, so do that. Now the hood's done. I'm kind of using body lines for boundaries, so I know that hood is done. Now I'm going to start with this quarter panel and work down against the body line. Remember, this is polishing, so it's technically taking just a little bit of material off. That's the only way you can get rid of scratches. So since it's removing it, you want to be extra careful. It's not near as aggressive as a sandpaper, but anytime you have a place where you would be, careful on an edge, because you don't want to burn through the sandpaper, I'm being real careful to kind of be gentle around those edges too. And then like this particular car, there's a textured section down here that's supposed to be more resistant to rock chips, I suppose. It doesn't do a lot of good to clay bar or that. You can just lightly go over it if you want, but it's not like it's going to get a mirror finish anyway. You also want to watch on a car like a Porsche that's got, really big hips and these curves to it. You want this to be as smooth against the surface as you can, not, hitting on an edge or anything. So as you go up, try to make the pad kind of conform to the curve as much as you can so that you're getting even pressure all around it. It's the main thing with any kind of process like this, is to get even distribution, treat all the surfaces the same, and try to get that even pressure against the surface. It really shouldn't be much pressure anyway, but this is a really handy applicator that you can kind of squeeze some curve into it and try to follow the lines of the car as best you can. The clay bar is done, and you can see there's this film left on it, right? You want a perfectly clean surface before you start trying to put the coating on it. So I'm just going to roll it outside and rinse that film off so that it's perfectly clean before I start the coating. I'm just going to take the hose and a nice soft, clean, lint-free cloth and just wash that film down, rinse it off, and then it'll be ready to dry off and do the 303. And yes, it's raining, which makes me look ridiculous out here in the neighborhood, wiping my car, washing my car in the rain. Now I'm going to use a squeegee to get most of the water off, then roll it in and use a chamois for the rest. Now for the chamois to get all the last drops off. Now the only part I wasn't really happy with after clay bar is right on this back area where I stripped those letters off. So for this I'm going to take my buffer with some rubbing compound and get it the quality that I want to have it, then go back over it with clay bar, and then I can be ready for the 303. Ready for another clay bar. Now that everything is clay barred and clean, I've got this graphene 303 stuff that was recommended to me, so I'm going to try this. And I've got one nice soft rag for application and one for removal. I'm going to spray it on the rag first, and then just kind of pick an area, just gently apply. You're not rubbing it hard or anything, but just apply it in this area like you would any wax or anything else. Make sure the cloth is damp enough that plenty of it gets on. Once it forms a white kind of pasty look, then you can buff it off with the clean rag. So I'm just going to start working outward from where I was. And again, make sure you have plenty of it on there so that you get a good coat of it. See how it's got that kind of cloudy haze like any wax would? Once you see that, you can start buffing it off with the clean rag. It's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of follow there's the line, the pasty look of the coating, and there's where I've already wiped it clean. The wheels are powder coated, which is a paint, so I went ahead and did those as well. Even though the axe badge is chrome and not paint, I'll go ahead and put some on it anyway and see how it does. Probably end up just going back to a chrome polish anyway, but this will be good for now. Yeah, look at that shine. This is how to get a great shine, using synthetic clay bar and graphene 303 to protect it and make that car shine like the day it left the factory. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to learn more about how to enjoy amazing machines like this.